Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Just going to give it a few minutes here to allow everyone to log on. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the MediaJel podcast. I am your host, Guillermo Bravo. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss how you can maximize in-person events and expos with Wendy Campbell. MediaJel connects brands and retailers with cannabis consumers through our ad network of mainstream publishers, mobile apps, games, and TV. We help cannabis companies advertise on Google, support an SEO, and activate data through display advertising to support e-commerce sales. And I'd like to introduce Wendy Campbell. Wendy is the National Sales Director at Jage Media. Wendy has 20 years of experience in sales, marketing, product management, primarily in CPG and consumer packaged goods. She's driven and more excited than ever to working to discover what is needed to create profit-making solutions for companies involved in the sale and marketing of consumer products. Welcome to the show, Wendy.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here. Nice introduction.
Yeah, no, it's love having you on, and looking forward to meeting you next week in New York and supporting you at the MJ Unpacked.
Coming up fast.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's kick it off. You want to give me a little background on yourself, and have you always loved events, and what really drew you to the event and expo business?
I think I've always loved people, and engaging on a one-on-one personal level. I was thinking about this question last night. My very first trade show experience was 1995. I was 6 months out of college, started my first job in the PC industry, startup PC company. And I went to Comdex in Las Vegas. Comdex no longer exists, but at the time it was one of two of the biggest events in the personal computer space.
Yeah.
And I was just wowed by the expositions, the exhibitors, the lights, the energy, the crowds of people attending and walking. And I've been hooked ever since. They make business happen. You meet great people. There's education. And if I can be a part of producing that, like we do here at MJ Unpacked, I get to help other people, which is also what I like about the human capacity to support one another.
Yeah, I've been in the industry since 2014, so I've kind of watched the evolution of MJBizCon when it was a very small event to the growth of the industry as a whole, and the creation of all these other events, right? So like Cauliflowers last week we attended, which is more for connecting brands and retailers and brands. And then MJ Unpacked, you have a different philosophy. And, I guess, do you have any particular philosophy around events that you want to share with our viewers?
Sure. I think the first one is they're all opportunities, right? That's the first place. And then with those opportunities, you need to be strategic. And there are going to be different opportunities, and there's going to be different strategies depending on the event, depending on your participation at the event, if you're exhibiting it, you're sponsoring it, you're attending it. And that's from womb to tomb, I like to say. That's from we're evaluating these events, we're going to participate in it on some level, all the way through to we're doing our follow-up and having those conversations that we ignited or sparked at the event. So it's a long process. It's not just showing up, right, at 10 o'clock when the event starts. So organize and strategize and how you want to activate on those opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think it's important for our industry in particular to attend in-person events? Why is it so crucial for us?
It's so important. I think it's the experience, right? To get the chance to meet individuals that you are doing business with, or could potentially do business with, and connect with them. And that really can help you decide, do you want to work with these people, right? Or do they share the same zest for life and understanding of the business? And who are they behind the screen or behind a logo or behind a website? Do you really connect and gel? Is there a fit for your organizations? Do you think the same way? Do you operate the same way? And also to experience products and services in the real time, right? Which you can't beat that unless you're actually experiencing it in the consumer-driven environment from a retailer perspective or something of that nature.
Yeah, and it's been nice to connect with people, in person after 2 years of the hiatus, and I've met some of my best clients and partners at these events, and it takes a few events for people to get comfortable with you, right? Like they have to get your personality, your mission, how you do business, how to best do business together. There's a lot of things that are really important that, the dinners, the happy hours, just really connecting with people on an intimate level is key. And I think, people are yearning for that even more now, given the absence of in-person events.
Yeah, well, and there's also we're limited as an industry, but yet we're so lucky to have LinkedIn. Yeah. And so my LinkedIn is now dominated with all cannabis.
Yeah.
And I can't keep up with everything or everyone.
Yeah.
So getting the chance to put those dots together, right? Like, I think I recognize you from that little square on LinkedIn. I'd love to know who you are and more about you. And you're right. I mean, I've done the math, right? I pay attention when we're talking about strategy and opportunity. It tends to take about 3 events, right? 3 events of meeting someone to where by the 3rd time around, you're probably conducting some business together, right? Yeah. You're collaborating on something that supports each other's business. And now you're friends, right? Like, I can see you across the room and I'm like, there he is. Let me go say hi. But it takes that familiarity.
Yeah, and it's just getting an understanding of what people do. It's sometimes unclear to what everyone's specialty is. I know people ask me all the time, I see you on LinkedIn, but I see MediaJel, but I'm not sure what you do. I just want to get a confirmation on like what you're actually offering to the industry, and just to be clear on how I speak of you in the business. So it's important to participate in these conversations, and at live events. They don't all have to be like consuming. Like it could be, Benzinga was financial and like more suits, and Hall of Flowers is definitely a much funner atmosphere. You get the California vibe. And what's MJ Unpacked going to be like?
Oh, I think that as a team, we've worked tirelessly to create something that's unique and different.
Yeah.
And it's one first and only event in the industry on a national level. Yeah. That is exclusively for THC consumer packaged good brand and retail executives, along with accredited investors. And while we're, everybody gets qualified. So I like to say there's no tire kickers. It's not Cannabis 101. It's Cannabis PhD and beyond. So every conversation is quality. You're able to connect with people. They're like-minded. They understand the industry. Oftentimes it's really about how am I growing my footprint as a brand or a retailer without going and getting a new license to be an operator in the next state, right? So it's about finding that intellectual property, licensing or franchising opportunities, building your network always. And then do you need access to capital? We've got our money stage where businesses can pitch to just investors and VCs. We've added a pitch competition to that. Great networking events too, where we take that trade show, trade event, daytime conversation and move it to that nighttime opportunity or various happy hours that we host. So really curating the audience. setting the tone for who's going to be there and what the conversations are going to be about. It's kind of the best of everything all rolled up into one at MJ.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah, and when there's a ton of events out there, so like I'm familiar with MJ Unpacked. I was there last year, but like what should anyone that is considering attending a conference research before committing to actually participating in that event?
I think it probably starts behind the scenes with what do you want to accomplish by participating in an event, and then how do you want to participate, and then start looking for those events that fit those objectives. And I think the opportunity to understand who's behind the event, to your point, why does the event exist? Who's going to be there? Is it a fit for your business? On what level, right? And then what's the outcome that you believe you can create at the event? And then what do you put into making that happen? So the who, the where, the why, the when, and the how behind each event. Because there's so many that are different and unique, and then there's so many that are kind of the same thing. So where do you fit, and how does the event fit you?
Exactly. So I guess for a CPG brand, what are some of the events that they can attend? I mean, you have MJ Unpacked. Hall of Flowers was a great one for reaching retailers. Benzinga is probably not if you're raising money, if that's your goal, then that would be a good event for you there.
Yeah, I think, consumer packaged good wise, national level, it's MJ Unpacked.
Yeah.
If you're doing, and every show has a different meaning, right? If you're doing, if you're in California and you're a brand and you're trying to get your product on the shelf and in the door to those retailers, or expand your footprint on those shelves at that retailers, Hall of Flowers is an outstanding buyer-seller show.
Yeah.
Benzinga, I was there, in Miami. It was my first opportunity to be there. And there was a great mix, but that was really about, I'm here because I need to get influx of capital and funds into my business, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Wonderful opportunity where that was the overarching theme. I was at NECAN Boston and really enjoyed having a chance to meet Mark Shepard. And that was, I think there were 16 or 17 cannabis consumer packaged good brands on exhibit there. And outside of California and Hall of Flowers, that was the largest display of consumer packaged goods at an event I'd seen beyond MJ Unpacked. So, Mark's doing a great thing in NECAN and New England, and Massachusetts are on fire. So, but if you are in the operations side of your business, where you need the picks and the shovels and the label makers and the grow lights, I don't think there's anything better than MJBiz for that side of your business. So you're going to send different types of teams to different events. Again, each event serves a different type of purpose, and they all fit into the ecosystem of what we're doing in cannabis.
Yeah. Exactly. And, events can be quite expensive. So, selecting a conference where you'll put yourself in the best position to make these connections is key, and really move the dial on your business, right, is a top priority. What kind of goals would you recommend conference goers set for each event? Like, if I'm a brand, what should I set as my goals?
I mean, it's a different type of event for different type of goals.
Okay.
Right. And then also how you're going to participate. If you're an exhibitor, a sponsor, or an attendee. And it might be that I'm so close to the production side of events now that I can see the differences in those three categories, where the average Joe, our peers, sometimes collide exhibiting and attending. They say attending, but they really mean exhibiting, or they say exhibiting, they really mean attending. So, objectives, are you in the place where you need to raise the capital? Where can you do that? Do you need to be able to be on a money stage and pitch, because that's specifically what your business is needing to do? Are you about building awareness for your brand because you're looking to make more sales in the state that the event is being held? So what's your messaging and communication to that retail buyer or the individuals making those purchasing decisions? Are you looking for growth from a licensing or a franchising perspective? And then let's also talk about education, right? What are the educational platforms at these events? Canamed or Cannabis Science event that's going on, or MJ Unpacked. They're all going to deliver different content on their conference programming stage by different types of industry professionals. So what matters to you and or your team? So it's really being specific again with the opportunities and strategic about where you want to be and how you want to participate. And then leveraging the event producers, and in this case, Jage Media, MJ Unpacked, with what they offer for you to make the best impact for your business. The tools that they have, and look beyond just showing, old school, right? Was you showed up, you built your booth, and the lights came on and you just stepped out into the aisle and hoped to grab people into your booth. Or you showed up, grabbed your badge, and you walked around. It's not the same thing anymore, right? So what are the ways? Technology, networking events, sizzle reels, commercials, videos, etc. How can you make the most impact with your budget at the event and work with the teams producing it to know what those are?
Yeah, and for the most case, all the events have been really transparent with who's attending, right? So you know who's going to attend. If you're an exhibitor, you have your kind of obligations on the booth, and you'll need to bring in more people to just kind of to own that part of the business and of the event. If you're an attendee, you get the free flow around, right? Like you get to hop around the parties, you get to help, hit the expo floor. But in most cases, like you can cover that in one day, right? Like unless it's like MJBizCon where there's thousands of exhibitors, that in most cases you can cover the entire expo floor in one day. I know at Benzinga, I was really interested in the psilocybin market, and I don't have that much experience in it. So I was there the first day, just really attending a lot of the educational panels. And, for all these events, I had different goals, as he said. I've Hall of Flowers, like we wanted to generate leads, right? We wanted to get in front of brands, we want to get in front of retailers, we want to get new business. And we found that was, a great place for us to do so. And same thing with MJ Unpacked, right? There's a lot of decision makers there, a lot of people that you can meet at happy hours or any of these, nice networking events that you put together. And it's really, you just really have to get out there and, meet one person and have that person introduce you to another and just kind of hit the floor. And, I definitely have seen a difference in if you're active on social media and you're really participating before the event, you're talking about it, you're getting meetings set up before the event. That definitely goes a long way and makes the use of your time that much better, right? Because it's expensive to go to these events, and it takes a lot of energy to be on the floor for 8 hours speaking with people one-on-one and smiling and keep your energy high. So it's there's a lot of work to it.
And a lot of 5-hour energy drinks, if I'm telling you.
Do you have any tips for our viewers for setting event goals? Let's break things out by event type and the goals tied to the audiences you want to target. And we already touched on this a little bit, but if you're attending a B2C audience, like what are some of your goals? Or if you're attending an investor focus event, what are some of your goals? Or if you're connecting with retailers and looking to expand in new markets, what are some of your goals? Like
I think it's a great question, great sticking point for this conversation.
Yeah.
I find that the B2C opportunity is a great place to understand your consumer, right? You get the chance to talk to the consumer who's using your product or services and it's real-time feedback.
Yeah.
So you can put that into R&D as well, because oftentimes when you're working in your business, you don't get as many opportunities as possible to that end user consumer. So B2C, I think, is connecting with that consumer and doing that real-time research, touch base. You know, the investor piece is really new to me since the last 2 years and 2 months of working at Jage Media. And I love it. I love the energy and the opportunity and the discussion. And all of this, you know, when we start talking about the B2B events, including the investor opportunities, is what is your personal and professional pitch for your business, right? What is your 30-second commercial? And that 30-second commercial then turns into a 3-minute commercial. And I use the commercial so you can think about it similar to how you did the introductions to both of us, right? Yeah. You're moving fast, people are getting hit in every direction, and you want it to be a meaningful conversation that sticks.
Yeah.
So you really need to craft that to be able to bend and flex it to the audience that you're speaking with. And oftentimes in one type of event, you're going to have the opportunity to meet all different types of players or individuals. So being able to pivot that conversation, and not everyone is us in your team, right? Not everyone is the social butterfly and, you know, doesn't meet a stranger. So there might need to be some internal coaching and work on that messaging so everybody's there. So on that investor side, what I find is, you know, what's the opportunity? Yeah. What are you looking for from the investor? And what's the exit strategy for your business, right? When do these investors get their payout, right? What's in it for them? So really making it about the opportunity that you're presenting and the need, right? What is the need for? How are you going to use the money? And how soon do you need it? What's the runway that you're currently working in? So,
yeah, and just assume that. I mean, I spoke with investors at Hall of Flowers, and they're like, "Yeah, we have 150, you know, companies portfolios that we're looking at. So you really have to make yourself stand out and share your story, your voice, your mission. When you're going to get the return on those funds, right? And have your due diligence documents, your financials, everything ready. You get your data room, like, you know, have your NDA ready to be signed after that conversation and get that out the door and get information to people while they're at the event. It's really capitalize on that opportunity, right? It's not, there's not that many investment groups in the cannabis space that are, you know, that are actively investing at the moment. It's definitely changing, right? With everything going on in the economy.
And, you know, that's why when I think about it, it's when with our money stage, we've got 16 different companies that are taking the money stage to do their pitch presentation. And we've got Deborah Johnson, who's our investor relations management team member, and she's onboarding these companies that are taking the money stage. And we're really, you know, I call her a Sherpa. She's really guiding them through the pieces. And these cannabis companies are so overwhelmed with all the different pieces of their business that they're operating. Yeah. Getting them to stop, drop, and roll, right? To get them focused on, you need a one sheet. What's the one sheet that is about your company and the opportunity? Perfect. Now we're going to turn that into a 3-minute video where you're actually speaking what that story is and what the opportunity is. Great. Now you've got your pitch deck, right? You're preparing for that actual pitch that you're going to do. And all of that ends up in a data locker. And those 3 components are oftentimes, this is their first time they're doing it, right? Or they've done it before, didn't get a lot of action, right? Didn't get what they were looking for. So revising that. And, you know, one of my, kind of been one of my roadies that I've been doing trade shows with is David Koenig from UCS Advisors. Okay. And he focuses on investor relations. So he and I talk about this as well, as to it really takes a lot of prep work to be able to be one of those selected through a VC or investor conversation that they want to put their time, energy, and money into. So you've got to be prepared. And the work that you do, right, preparing, is how you get to that success point where you meet your objective. What is it they say? Failing to plan is planning to fail.
There you go. I like that.
And
Yeah,
what was the other one? CPG, B2B events, buyer seller, right? What is the opportunity? What is your product mix? What are your price points? What are your delivery terms? What is your inventory timing from the time of order to the time of delivery? What are the marketing budget that you're going to have? Is there co-op marketing, right? How are you going to be able to do the push and the pull, which we've talked about that, right? When it comes to the retail piece, is there a partner in that retailer, right? Are you partnering to make all that happen? And then education too, right? When we're talking brands and retailers, where's the education piece, the educating the retailer and the bud tenders about these new products? So there's a lot that goes into that buyer, seller, retail conversation. And then at MJ Unpacked, when we're talking about intellectual property, right? Licensor, licensee relationships, what states do you want to go to? What are the licensing deal notes? Is there exclusivity? Who's going to own the marketing? What are the production timelines and needs? I mean, there's so much that goes into that conversation as well. So they're all unique and different, and you have to have a different voice. And I see that in the marketing message. We're really focused in the cannabis space by creating marketing, which you guys are so big in doing, to that consumer, right? The B2C. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity to enhance our B2B communication as well.
Definitely. And, LinkedIn has been a great resource for me to do that. I mean, I found that to be the best channel for at least getting that top of funnel awareness, introduction to who you are, who some of your colleagues are. It's cannabis friendly as well, so that's definitely a plus. The type of content is more professional as well. Like I've seen an increase this year of people participating in LinkedIn over like Instagram and Facebook and some of the other channels, just because they know they're somewhat secure on the platform. And it's a lot of time and money and content creation, energy and everything to actually create a presence online on one of these platforms and really build a following. So it's you really need to have your message on point. And then B2C, same thing with the social media channels like the Instagram, Facebook. Those are going to be better platforms for you, right? To reach consumers. So speak to people where they are. And the quote I was looking for is, "Success is the place in the road where preparation meets opportunity." That was the one I was trying to remember.
Yeah, that's a good one to remember. Hashtag that one. Write it down if you're watching. It's true.
Yeah. And then do you have any advice for, how much we should budget per year for an event? Like, there's tons of events out there. Like, how many should you really be attending per year?
Well, you're talking to a gal who used to do 30 trade shows a year, wow, has a brand exhibiting. Yeah. So I don't know, right? I don't think we're up to 30 a year in the cannabis space, at least not yet. So, it's, in my experience, when you're being selective about the objectives and the opportunities, budget in cannabis is a big, it's a bigger deal than it was at I can't speak, at a Shell or a Mattel or any of the other places that I've worked. We just have our hands tied, right? A lot of these cannabis companies that are plant touching. Yep. But typical rule of thumb is 15 to 20% of your sales, your annual revenue. You should really be focused on putting that towards your marketing. And then that breaks down into all the different buckets in marketing. So it's going to be individual for each company. But that's where I would start. What is your annual revenue? Look at that 10 to 20% window for your marketing budget, and then break that down strategically for how you want to engage. And right now, I mean, I talk to brands that are like, we've got 45 events this year. but they're still putting many of them are still putting all of their events into one bucket. And there's really that trade event, which is an MJ Unpacked, an MJBiz, a Hall of Flowers, an ECAN, right, or a Bazinga. And then there's that business to consumer, right? Yeah. Whether it's Green Street that's happening this week in LA, or it is any of the other, pop-up in-store retail. So also starting to break down your marketing budget into the various buckets. And when it gets to events, truly looking at the different types of events and breaking your budget into those buckets.
Yeah, there's different purposes for each event, right? I mean, the brand to retailer event like Hall of Flowers, like you really want to get PO, like you want to get purchase orders, right? Like you want to get in new stores. For something like a Green Street, you really just want to create brand awareness and build that brand equity. And then if you're at a vendor day, you've already built that relationship with a retail partner, and that's all going to be education, right? So your products are already in the store. You really want to do your best to differentiate yourself from all the other, brands on the shelves, and like what makes you unique, what makes you special, why are your products speaking to this specific customer audience, whether it's baby boomers, female consumers, like whatever it might be. Like this, you really need to tailor that content to the appropriate audience, right? So it's all goes in that planning. Yeah,
I think I mentioned this to you one time we chatted before. I mean, I look at shows. There's the business to consumer, which you talked about, which is that brand awareness.
Yeah.
And then when I call them order writing shows. Okay. Which would be the Hall of Flowers scenario, in my opinion, which is I'm there to write POs. Yeah. And oftentimes I would go to a show knowing that I could write enough POs to pay for at a minimum break even.
Exactly.
And so I would qualify it on the ROI from a dollars spent, dollars earned. But then there's also the shows that you've got to be there. If you're relevant in the industry, that show is the one that that this is one of the events that you have to be to. And I'd like to think that MJ Unpacked is quickly becoming that in a short period of time. And those, then the other category I would have is the ability to meet new people.
Yeah.
Right. That I'm going there because I want to expand my network, which can lead to further opportunities down the road. So the strictly networking, the relevance because I'm in the industry and this is an industry event I must be at to be relevant. Yeah. And then there's order writing shows.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the buckets that I use when evaluating trade events.
And then what do you do to get your business and ways to get eyes on your business before the event and engage with others? Like, do you have any recommendations on pre-event promotions or any marketing strategies? And I'll touch on mine as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it starts with looking at the event. When you're evaluating an event, what do they have to offer, right? Is there an event website? Is your logo being on there? Does it have a hot link to your website? Do they have a promotional toolkit that they're going to be able to provide to you so that they've created all the copy and the imagery, and all that you have to do is then plug and play with that? And then where do you plug and play it? Clearly for us in cannabis, it's going to need to be in social media, LinkedIn, and possibly the Instagrams and the Facebooks of the world. I heard there's some others. Oh gosh, I'm going blank on it now. I was at a CMA meeting in Tacoma or in Seattle, Washington about a month ago, and they were talking about some other social places that I had not heard of before. So even Reddit people are using. So yeah. So using that social platform that you have, not only from an individual perspective, but collectively as a business, right? And doing that strategically, and then connecting, right? So you're marketing yourself that you're going to be there, start spreading the news, right? That you're going to be in these various places, market your exhibit space, market if, your booth number, market if you're going to have any networking events or you're going to be in the networking events, schedule the meetings, right? Reach out them in advance to the people, the stakeholders that you want to be able to have those meetings with. does the event itself offer a platform for meetings, pre-booked meetings or meeting schedulers, and then also that lead capture, right? Like, I know you, and you're probably like me, you've got that deck of business cards all over
Oh yeah.
from all over.
Take pictures of those, yeah.
Yeah. So how are you what are the ways you can capture the connections that you do make and simplify those and streamline those as best as possible to get them into your CRM system? So those are my top thoughts off. Well, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are too.
Yeah, I mean, before the event, I would say MJ Unpacked specifically, take a look at the app, see what you can actually do within the app. So I would say that's the first thing, is like seeing what tools are available. As you said, you can schedule different meetings one-on-one with people through the app. So that's the holy grail, I would say, like for getting people to meet in person. As far as marketing yourself before, social media is going to be big. You have your email list, so email marketing, doing cold invites if you're throwing like a party, or doing cold invites for booking meetings, I would say is big. Paid search, something that we do, like we bid on the actual event name. So like if you're at Hall of Flowers and you're at Palm Springs and you type in Hall of Flowers, you might see an ad for us, like how to market yourself at Hall of Flowers. So it's like kind of a small campaign that you can do to make sure that you're top of mind. Display ads as well. We did this at Hall of Flowers. We did a geo fence around Palm Springs, and anyone that we know that was a cannabis in the cannabis industry, like we showed them ads through different mobile apps and games, just to make sure that we're top of mind. Blogging is another, like creating a pre-event article on a little bit about yourselves, about your booth, and then a post-event highlight, maybe with a gallery, right? That would be nice. And then social media posts. I would say at least maybe 2 posts before the event, on your personal profile, on your company profiles. The list that's available in the MJ Unpacked, you can always do direct outreach to those same individuals on LinkedIn, or if you're not connected with them, you can go through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So it's really just that extra push to really get people to book that meeting, because everyone is really busy at these events. And then a simple kind of casual thing is to have a banner for the event in your email signature. So, I'm going to be here during this time, schedule a time with me for a one-on-one. So there's some different ideas for really getting the word out there. But LinkedIn, like I said, has been really valuable. And anything that you've built as far as your CRM, your email, and your SMS list, definitely like leverage that as much as possible.
Yeah, bring that marketing to the forefront, right? And utilize it.
Yeah. And then as far as pre-booking meetings, is there any campaigns that you've done in the past that have been most effective?
Oh gosh, I've done them all. I've worked events where that's what they were. They were all pre-booked meetings.
Okay.
So you were guaranteed those conversations, but you were paying for that, right? And that doesn't fit every budget, and that doesn't always get you the right conversations that you want to have either. It just kind of depends on the event. I like the app. I like the MJ Unpacked app. I can see who's there. I can read about their company, brochures, price lists, show specials, case studies, deal notes, and I can be prepared for the meeting, right? And then I think the other thing is networking, right? Who do you know? Like I'll reach out to someone. Benzinga, it was my first time going there, and I reached out to an investor that I know, and was like, I'm going to be there. This is what I would like to accomplish. Is there anybody who's going to be there that I should talk to? Right. And from that, they were willing to make introductions before the event and say, hey, Wendy's going to be in town. It would be great if you guys have a chance to connect. So really utilizing your network. You mentioned it earlier about when you're on the event floor or in the space and you're having that conversation, ask for it. I've had success in asking for that in advance too.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah, there's you really need to maximize it. I know it's hard to nail people down, especially if they have like really.
Well, you and I were going to meet at Hall and Flowers, right? And we got connected. Like, is there a good time for us to get together? And we didn't sync up. But then, right on Friday at the vault, I walk in, or whatever day it was. I forget what day it was.
Yeah, that was Thursday. Yeah, Buds and breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah, Buds and breakfast, and there you were. And for me, there's a friendly face.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't had my cup of tea yet. And there's a friendly face and I can sit there and have a conversation. I ended up meeting two peers just by sitting down to talk to you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm glad I can help broker some of that. Well, as far as the mistakes, like, is there any mistakes that you've seen people make at these events besides not being prepared, right?
Right. I think it all comes back to not being prepared, but you are the brand of your personal brand and also the brand of your organization. George likes to say the face of our organization. Mm-hmm. So everything, and then me, I've got this hair, so I look like a beacon. It's like Wendy, they know who Wendy is, right?
I get a little thing here too, yeah.
So, that's a responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. Your personal brand and being the face of your organization or representing your business, that's a responsibility and you need to take it seriously. And it's about, that pre-work, that pre-game, if you want, to get prepared for it. And then it's the execution on site, and it's everywhere. It's not just in a conversation that I'm having with someone that I've already met. It's how I conduct myself on the dance floor. That would be me. How much you consume, right?
Yeah.
And being able to manage that in a professional setting. You don't want to be known as the guy that fell down drunk or the girl who, ended up in the bushes or whatever. I mean, that stuff happens, right? So really realizing that you're representing yourself and your company, and always keep that top of mind. People are looking, they're watching, they're listening. And heck, they might even have their video camera out recording it, right, of what you're doing. So be mindful. Yeah. And the only mistakes I've seen really is when you're not taking that as a responsibility. And I've been fortunate. I've never been in that scenario, but I felt for those that I've seen in that scenario. So it's business, right?
Yeah, watch the boozing and don't get high where you can't give your elevator pitch, right?
Yeah, and that I guess is the failure. I will say during the trip to Palm Springs last week, I was having a conversation with someone, and I was just like, in my mind, nice person, right? But in my mind, I was like, I left the conversation thinking, so what is it that they do?
Yeah, at least get that out. It's 15-30 seconds. Get your elevator pitch down. Make sure it's in layman's terms, right? Just high level. Like a lot of people on our side, you say you're marketing cannabis. That's a good like starting point, and you can't really dive in deep, or else it's going to go down a rabbit hole, right? So you need to keep it high level,
succinctly and effectively. Right, for the audience.
Exactly. You're wonderful at marketing. We all understand the importance of networking, right? And really getting out there and meeting people. And it can be sometimes awkward when you're standing in a sea of people that are already in like deep conversations, right? So do you have any tips for introverts out there, for looking to meet people while they're at these events?
Yeah, gosh, the girl who's certainly not the introvert. But I
mean, smiling's one, right? Just like
yeah. Be available.
Yeah.
There's the body posture that you have. that friendliness, that openness that you can present through the way your body language is, in the way you're smiling.
Yeah.
Eye connection. I mean, it's so interesting thinking about where we are today versus even just a year ago with events when we were wearing masks. And there are so many people that I met that I didn't see their face, right? It was just the eyes.
Yep.
You can make an impact visually, but just the way that you're looking at someone. So give yourself some grace to say, hi, I'm new I met someone last week. I'm new in the industry.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me. Welcome. Tell me about you, right? So ask questions about the people that you're meeting. Let them know that this is your first time at this event, or that you're new in the industry, or that you've stepped into this role at the company and this is the first time you're in this role at the company. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Be your authentic self. If you can be your authentic self, people will recognize the fact that you're there and that you want to have a conversation. And they'll oftentimes, if you ask them, hey, is there anybody else here you think that would be great for me to connect with? They'll introduce you, right? And sometimes you kind of end up being, Annie Davis and we don't necessarily go to events together, but we always kind of end up meeting up somewhere at the start of an event. And then we go on our separate ways, but along the path of the event, we always reconnect somewhere. So it's nice to meet a new person and then see them as you go through, and they kind of become your anchor at the event to kind of reset, refocus, and proceed ahead. So I know that's a long answer, but that's, and I don't know if it's a great answer, but that's what I would say. It's hard for the extrovert to think like an introvert.
Yeah, I mean, I just have the basic questions ready, right? Like, people like to talk about themselves, so that's the easiest one, is like have maybe 3 to 5 questions in your pocket that you have ready, like, what do you do in the industry? Those kind of high level, like, tell me a little bit about yourselves, like where are you based? Could really open-ended questions allow people to talk. It's going to go a long way.
And why are you here?
Yeah, why are you here? That's pretty straightforward. People should be able to get that across. So yeah, I mean, it's ask questions and then ask them for invitation if they know anyone else in the audience, and that'll go a long way.
I think actually hearing you say those two things, the other piece I would say, be present in the conversation, because there can be a lot going on right around you, but be present in the conversation so that it's a meaningful conversation.
100%. And then after the conversation, well, during the conversation, if it's someone that you want to continue kind of going through business development or just building that relationship, exchange business cards, exchange information, and then post event follow up, right? Like, you've collected these business cards, you've had meetings during the event. Now what? Like, what's your advice for keeping these conversations going so they lead to actual sales?
Gosh, I've set up, so we use a Salesforce as our CRM here.
Yep.
And I make sure that I have set up the account source. So Benzinga, right? I made sure that was set up before I went to the event. So when I came back with all the contacts that I had a chance to meet, I was able to immediately start executing on that follow-up. I also have a boilerplate, if you will, email that I end up customizing for each conversation. And I have a really good memory. But when I'm lacking my memory, or somebody doesn't have a business card, I'll take a picture with them and their badge, so I can remember who they were, what their badge was, and then I can find them through LinkedIn typically. But remembering what the conversation was about, right? And a highlight, trying to make something stand out from your conversation with them. And if you're in that authentic conversation, something will surface.
Yeah.
So utilize that in your outbound communication to them post-event.
Shows that you're present, right? I mean, that's the main thing.
Yep. Yep. And then do that follow-up quickly. You know, I'm the girl who will stay up late and, you know, work those extra hours to make sure that I get the follow-up, that I keep the memory of what the conversations were, and I get that follow-up executed. I try to do it within 24 to 48 hours of an event, which I know is challenging, but I try to do that. And utilize any other tools that your company might have beyond your CRM and your email marketing campaigns, etc.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, really, timeliness is everything, right? So make sure that you're top of mind, that, you know, there's, as you said, take some notes and add some of that into the outreach, and follow up quickly. So that's key. We have a question from the audience. What are some of the most innovative ways you can see brands represent themselves?
Oh, wait, say it again. Sorry, I was reading something. I apologize.
What are some of the most innovative ways you have seen brands represent themselves?
Oh my gosh, cannabis industry brands are the best. Geez. And you know, that's what I love about the Hall of Flowers event, honestly, is the activations. The experiential activations of this. And I talk to the brands, right? They spend 6 months preparing for some of those activations. So, you know, most well, gosh, what would it be?
I mean,
Emerald Cup. I'll tell you, I've got it. I know what it is.
Okay.
I don't know. Were you at the Emerald Cup last year?
I wasn't. I missed it.
So Stizzy was there. And I guess, you know, I lived in Southern California. I didn't spend a lot of time in Central or Northern California, but I guess it's common that it rains during Emerald Cup in December. I didn't know. But Stizzy knew this, or they looked at the weather forecast, and they created Stizzy ponchos. And sure enough, it started pouring rain. And they were there ready to activate, and they started handing out ponchos to everybody. So now they have their regular people who are Stizzy fans, plus anybody else who's there that's a warm body, which my husband he's 6'8", calls himself a walking billboard. Stizzy had walking billboards all over Emerald Cup because they had planned in advance, looked at the weather forecast, and handed out these Stizzy logoed ponchos for the rain. It was perfect. So, you know, again, their success was because they planned in advance.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, we're wrapping up here. I got about 6 more minutes, and I definitely want to spend some time talking about MJ Unpacked. So can you tell us a little bit about Jage Media, and why this business and MJ Unpacked was started?
Oh my goodness, where's George? Is George here? Because George is the best voice, and Kim. It starts with George and Kim. It starts with the Jages. You know, independently and together, they've been producing trade shows since the mid-90s, and they've been incredibly successful doing so, building media companies from the ground up, and being able to exit those businesses successfully. And as the story goes, George just happened to be in the right place in the right time. And somebody said, you know, there's this weed thing going on in Las Vegas. It's sort of like tea, because they had real tea media. And that was when MJBiz was a 20 tabletop show over at the Rio. And, you know, George stepped into an opportunity in 2014, and he maximized it and helped build MJBiz to be the fastest growing trade show 2 years in a row across all industries. And yeah, he didn't do that alone, but he was there for it. And, you know, things happen and people change and businesses, you know, grow and people move on. And that I met George at Dope Magazine. He had came to Dope Magazine to help David and James and Evan and the guys prep that company for sale and find an acquirer. And that was when High Times, George facilitated that acquisition for High Times. And we all eventually, it was my 7th merger and acquisition I've
Wow.
been through 30 years. Yeah. Um, Great experience. I wouldn't, I would do it all over again, every single one of those mergers and acquisitions. But, George and Kim have thought about this for a long time. And the conversations when I got involved were, it's not about if there will be a national event for cannabis brands and retailers. It's really about when. And so thus Jage Media and MJ Unpacked, and having that intimate relationship with MJBiz and our industry, and what happens during the week of MJBiz, and having the thesis that brands and retailers and investors are in Las Vegas at MJBiz time. But what we found, 70% are not going to the show floor. They're at the Wynn or the Cosmo, this suite, that suite, this networking meeting, that party. And the 30% that are going are, they're sending their operations team because they need to have the best pricing, best technology, innovation, et cetera, for their picks and shovels and label makers and lights and soils, et cetera, which matter. So really, we saw that opportunity as the right time to strike and create a home and a community and an event that was focused on what we like to call the heroes in the journey, right? The brands and the retailers, that last mile before the consumer. And so here we are, heading into New York City next week with our second national event in person. We'll be back in Las Vegas in September. We're going to move over to the MGM Grand Conference Center. So it's a world-class facility. We're excited to have September 28th, 29th, and 30th. So people are now asking, wait, what? Is that the same time as MJBiz? No.
Not this time.
No. We're a standalone event. I'm really trying, setting ourselves up as the premier event for brands and retailers on a national level with the access to capital with the investors. So, and a lot underneath all of that, but that's the top level of how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, we're excited to participate and join as a sponsor. I believe we're a sponsor of the Social Equity Academy. So with our MediaJel Foundation, we're really trying to support the social impact, social equity brands. So love to participate in your event and support you, Wendy.
Oh, well, thank you. Our success is your success. That's what we want to do, is help other companies and lift everybody up in the industry. And, thank you for supporting the MJ Unpacked Equity Scholarship. I think we had 11 companies step in for the support. So it's double what we had from last year in Las Vegas. So just thank you. Thank you for helping us with that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And we met our partners with that 40 tons where we gave our first marketing grant to you. So that was all at MJ Unpacked last year. So it's coming full circle, and they'll be joining us, and I believe they'll be in New York as well. So it'll be nice to see everything full circle. What about if we have a crystal ball? Like, what's the future looking like for Jage Media and MJ Unpacked?
Oh, grab your sunglasses. It's bright. Continuing to do our best and create improved experiences for our partners, our attendees, our exhibitors, our sponsors with each and every event. We will continue to grow and get better, and we want to lift everybody up with us while we're doing that. And again, it comes back to creating success. There's some fun stuff coming up for Las Vegas. I don't know how much I can release quite yet, but stop by, see me in New York. I will have a suite in the registration area where we'll be having conversations about Las Vegas. We'll be in Las Vegas in September, and then back in New York in 2023. So we've got the next year planned out, and a lot of great partnerships that are going to come to life over this next year. So we'll share more as those times come.
Well, it's all exciting, and I'll be there at the event supporting you, and love everything that you're doing, and what you're doing for the industry, and really connecting all these brands, retailers, and and really building that intimate connection. So appreciate everything that you do and sharing all your insights with your audience today. We do have actually one more question. Let's see. From Max from Divi Digital. Methods. Do you have any methods for getting people to sign up at the show rather than waiting for the follow-up? How do you walk that line of pushing but not too much?
Yeah. All right. Comes back to strategy.
Yeah.
And I really think that, Max, what are you offering that they can't get anywhere else? And that this is what we call show specials, right? In the world of, when I was in the world of creating order writing at the event, give them some type of exclusive, some service, a package, terms, pricing, buy one, get one, whatever it may be. Create a show special that it's good for right now on site at the event. And if you want to extend it, until the week after or 2 weeks after, so you can include that in your follow-up. Hey, you were really engaged in the conversation that we had at the event. I wanted to remind you of that conversation and see if you're ready to take advantage of the show special, which we've extended to XYZ date. So timestamp it, but make it an offer they can't refuse, right? And think about the money that you spent to be there for that opportunity, and also the money that you're going to save if you're able to close it here. So that's where your pricing structure should reflect that, right? The deal and the opportunity on site should reflect all those pieces. And when you make it something they can't resist, that's how you get the head nod. That's how you get that PO. That's how you get that deal on.
Yeah, and on ours, I know at Hall of Flowers, we knew we were going to be in front of brands and retailers, so we did a $5,000 display ad giveaway with a QR code, and that's an easy, casual way to get people to give you their information to enter contests. Or I've seen a lot of booths have a little iPad kiosks out front with some type of incentive, and that's just an easy way to generate leads. But yeah, that's a no-brainer. Well, that's it. I mean, that's it on my side. Anything else you want to add, Wendy, before we log off today?
Thank you for your friendship and your partnership and this opportunity. Everybody watching, stop by and say hi. Make sure you tap me on the shoulder if you're at MJ Unpacked. And if you want to learn more about MJ Unpacked on any level or our digital publication, MJ Brand Insights, I'm Wendy Campbell. You can find me on LinkedIn, and let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Thank you. Take good care and be well.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And I posted the MJ Unpacked website in the Zoom chat here. And just as a reminder, MediaJel, what we do and our participation in the industry is connecting brands and retailers, right? We do that through marketing. We do that through mainstream media publishers, mobile apps, games, TV. We can run ads on Google, Bing, and we're doing SEO. So we're kind of following everything there and helping you reach cannabis consumers on Google and beyond. So happy to support everyone in the industry, and feel free to book a meeting with me directly at MediaJel.com, or find me on LinkedIn as well. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining today, and I appreciate the time.
Yes, thank you. Take care.
See you next week. Yeah.
All right.